My girlfriend said, my male best friend is staying over for a few days. If you're uncomfortable, you can get a hotel. I didn't argue. I simply replied, understood. Then I did one thing she'll never forget. She said, my best friend is staying over for a few days. If you're uncomfortable, you can get a hotel. I stared at her for a moment, waiting for her to laugh. She didn't. She just went back to scrolling on her phone. Like she hadn't just told me to vacate my own home for another man. Her tone was casual, dismissive. The kind of tone you use when you're used to getting your way. I asked, this the same best friend you used to date? She sighed. That was years ago. We're adults now. Don't make this a thing, right? Because asking my girlfriend not to host her ex in our apartment was making it a thing, so I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I just said, understood. That night, I changed the Wi-Fi password, locked my office, set up 2 small cameras in the living room, and booked a hotel room for her. She wanted her friend to feel comfortable. Now she has the whole apartment to make him comfortable. She just doesn't have a boyfriend anymore. Ava and I have been together for 3 years, living together for the last 1. It's my condo. 2 bedrooms, top floor, downtown. She pays for half the groceries and utilities, nothing more. It's worked. Peaceful, predictable, balanced, or so I thought. A few months ago, I started noticing the name Evan popping up on her phone again. At first it was harmless. A few memes, a funny story. Can't remember when. She called him her best friend from college. Then it became nightly texts, phone calls that ended with her giggling from the couch, and little things like turning her screen away when I walked by. I asked once, so, this Evan, the same guy you used to date? She waved it off like I'd asked about the weather. We dated for what, 2 months? We're adults now. Don't be insecure. I let it go. Mostly because I wanted to believe her, and partly because I knew how to play the long game. Then came Wednesday night. I was in the kitchen going through invoices for a work project when she dropped it, casual as anything. Hey, just so you know, Evan's going to stay here for a few days. He's going through some stuff. I looked up. Stay here? Yeah, his lease ended. He's between apartments. He just needs a couch for a week. Maybe 2. I blinked. You're telling me this or asking me? She frowned. The way people do when they're annoyed someone dared to question them. I'm telling you. Don't make this a big deal, please. He's like a brother to me. That phrase, like a brother, should come printed on red flags. I took a slow breath. Ava, I'm not comfortable with that. She rolled her eyes. Of course you're not. You never trust me. If it makes you that uncomfortable, then maybe you should get a hotel or something until he finds a place. It was the kind of sentence that flips a switch inside you. Not from anger, but from clarity. That was the moment I realized the balance in our relationship had shifted. Somewhere along the line, she'd stopped seeing me as an equal partner and started treating me like background noise. So I did exactly what she said. I got her a hotel, booked it under her name, packed a bag with her essentials, toothbrush, charger, a couple outfits, and left it by the front door. When she noticed later that night, she stared at the bag, confused. What's this? Your hotel, I said. So you told me to get one. She glared at me. You're unbelievable. You said it yourself. You want him to stay. I don't. Simple solution. Then I smiled politely and went back to my laptop. That was Thursday night. By Friday morning, she was still angry, slamming drawers and muttering about control issues. I said nothing. I just changed the Wi-Fi password, logged her out of my Netflix account, and quietly installed 2 small cameras in the common areas, living room and hallway. Not because I was jealous. Because when someone shows you that they're capable of disrespecting your space, you document everything. By Friday evening, Evan was there. He showed up with 2 suitcases, a gym bag, and the kind of smile that only belongs to someone who thinks they're welcome. Ava greeted him at the door with a hug that lasted too long. Too comfortable. Too familiar. I stood in the kitchen watching. He noticed me and had the nerve to grin. Hey man, thanks for letting me crash here. I owe you one. I said nothing. Just nodded once and went back to my coffee. Ava gave me that look. The one women use when they think you're being emotional in public. He's just staying for a few days, she said later, as if she hadn't already rewritten the rules of our home. That night, I lay in bed listening to them laugh in the living room. At midnight, I heard the clink of wine glasses. At 1 a.m., the sound of the TV. At 2, silence, followed by the faint click of the guest room door closing. Saturday morning, I made breakfast like nothing had happened. Ava didn't come out until noon. Evan followed 10 minutes later wearing one of my t-shirts. "Hope you don't mind," he said casually. Mine was still in the dryer. I didn't answer. Just stared long enough for him to get uncomfortable and leave the room. Later, Ava confronted me. "Can you please not make him feel awkward? He's going through a hard time." "Right, must be exhausting, freeloading off someone else's boyfriend," she gasped. "You're being cruel." "No," I said. "I'm being honest. That's when she played her favorite card, has the guilt trip. If you can't trust me, maybe we shouldn't be together." I smiled. Finally, something we agree on. She froze. I don't think she expected that. That afternoon, I sent a short email to our mutual friend group. Subject, change of plans. "Hey everyone, Ava has decided to host her best friend, Evan, at our place indefinitely. Since I apparently need to find a hotel, I'll be canceling the dinner we had planned this weekend. Apologies for the inconvenience. Hope to see you all soon, under better circumstances. Mark." I hit send, closed the laptop, and went for a walk. When I came back an hour later, Ava's phone was blowing up. Notifications, missed calls, texts from friends, some confused, some concerned, some clearly judging. She came storming down the hallway. "What the hell did you do?" "Told the truth," I said. "You humiliated me." "No," I said calmly. "You did that yourself." "I just sent the memo." She screamed, accused me of being controlling, insecure, manipulative. All the buzzwords people use when they've run out of logic. When she was done, I just looked at her and said, "You can stay here with him if you want." "I'm not leaving." "But you'll both be paying rent," she blinked. "Rent? Yeah, utilities too. And groceries. I'm done subsidizing your little reunion." She called me an asshole. I didn't disagree. By Sunday, things were colder than the fridge. She avoided me. He avoided me. And I pretended everything was fine. What they didn't know was that every move they made, every whispered conversation, every door that closed, was already being recorded. By the end of the week, Evan had turned my apartment into a frat house. Beer bottles, his shoes by the couch, his jacket on the chair I used for work. And Ava? She floated around him like gravity didn't apply anymore. I stopped reacting, stopped talking, and that scared her more than yelling ever could. Friday night, they thought I was asleep. I wasn't. At 1:23 a.m., I saw it through the living room camera feed, Ava in her robe sitting next to Evan on the couch. Too close. She said something, laughed, leaned in. He kissed her. She didn't pull away. I didn't watch the rest. Didn't need to. The next morning, I brewed coffee like nothing happened. Ava came out in the same robe. Evan followed, smirking like a man who thought he'd won something. "Morning," he said, too casual. "Morning," I replied. "Sleep well?" he asked. "Like a baby," I said and smiled. That day I called my lawyer. By noon I had a draft ready, a formal 30-day notice to vacate. One for Ava, one for Evan, both tenants at will. At dinner I placed the papers on the table. "What's this?" Ava asked. "Your official notice to leave." "Both of you. You can't just kick us out," she snapped. "I can," I said, "and I am." "I'll have until the 15th. After that I'll have the police escort you out." She laughed, nervous, disbelieving. "You're insane." "No," I said. "I'm just done." Then she tried the manipulation routine. "You're throwing away 3 years over one misunderstanding?" "Misunderstanding," I repeated. "Yeah. You think you saw something that wasn't—" I pulled out my phone, tapped the camera feed, and placed it face up on the table. There they were, her, him, the kiss, silence. She went pale. Evan swore under his breath. Then she whispered, "You were spying on me." "Recording," I corrected. "In my home. For my protection. You invited another man to stay here against my wishes." "That's not privacy. That's trespassing." She stood up, trembling. "You're a psychopath." "Maybe," I said, "but I'm not a fool." Evan tried to posture. "You're overreacting, man. It was just—" "Finish that sentence," I said quietly. He didn't. I leaned back. "You both have 30 days. Use them wisely." They left the room, whispering furiously behind the door. I didn't follow. I just started forwarding copies of the notice and the footage to my lawyer, and to myself, and to an encrypted drive. 2 days later, Ava tried a new tactic. She came home crying. "I made a mistake, Mark. He kissed me first. It meant nothing." I didn't respond. "I love you." "We can fix this." "You already did," I said. "You fixed the problem for me." That night Evan packed his things. Or maybe Ava packed them for him. I didn't care. By Monday, she was the only one left in the apartment, but the damage was already done. Her reputation was crumbling. Mutual friends had seen my cancellation email. Rumors spread. People started asking questions. One of her co-workers texted me, "So that's the guy she said was like a brother." Damn, I didn't reply. Didn't need to. Ava, of course, tried to fight back. She sent me a long message claiming emotional distress, threatened to sue me for invasion of privacy. My lawyer laughed when I showed him the text. She recorded herself. "In your house." Good luck to her. By the end of that week, the cameras caught one last thing. Ava sitting on the couch alone, crying, scrolling through her phone, calling Evan. He didn't pick up. The 30 days came and went. She didn't move. On day 31, I came home from work and found her still there, sitting on the couch in sweatpants, surrounded by half-packed boxes. The TV was on, muted. She didn't even look up. "You're not serious about this," she said flatly. "You're really going to throw me out?" "Ava," I said, calm as ever, "you've been a guest here for a year." "That courtesy expired 30 days ago," she scoffed. "You can't just kick me out." My lawyer said, "Your lawyer also thought emotional distress was a winning argument," I interrupted. "You can tell him the cops are on their way." I dialed the non-emergency line just like my lawyer had instructed. 15 minutes later, 2 officers arrived. 1 man, 1 woman. As expected, Ava turned on the tears instantly. "He's abusive," she sobbed. "He's throwing me out with nowhere to go." The female officer looked at me sharply. "Sir, what's going on here?" I handed over a folder. Inside were the property deed under my name, the 30-day notice to vacate, signed and dated, the affidavit of receipt, my driver's license, matching the address. The officer flipped through the papers, her expression cooling. "Ma'am," she said, "he's within his rights. You need to leave." Ava's tears vanished like a light switch. "You'll regret this," she hissed, standing. "Maybe," I said, "but at least I'll do it in peace." 2 hours later, she was gone. 4 boxes, 1 suitcase, no goodbye. When the door clicked shut behind her, I stood there for a while just listening. Silence, no perfume, no fake laughter. Just air, finally clean again. The next day I changed the locks, replaced the sheets and hired a cleaning service. They scrubbed every trace of her out of the place. A week later, a mutual friend texted me, "Ava moved in with Evan. Guess the couch still has room for 2. I almost felt bad. Almost. Apparently, the mature, supportive best friend doesn't have a job. He's between projects, which is code for broke. They're sharing a 1-bedroom with 2 other roommates, and she's footing the bills. The irony writes itself. Meanwhile, I spent a weekend repainting the living room. New color. New start. I even invited a few close friends over for drinks. When they asked how things were, I said peaceful, finally. Before they left, I opened my laptop and sent one last email, the same group list I'd used before. Subject housewarming, was for real this time. "Hey everyone, thanks for the support. The air's clear, the space is mine again, and the drama's out with the trash. I'm hosting a barbecue 2 weeks from Saturday. My home, my rules. Evan's not invited." Mark, the replies poured in within minutes. Everyone was coming. That night I poured myself a drink and stood by the window watching the city lights. 3 years gone, yes, but what I'd gained was better. Silence, clarity, control. Sometimes people think walking away makes you weak. It doesn't. It means you finally understand your worth. She told me to get a hotel if I was uncomfortable, so I did her one better. I gave her the hotel and kept the home. Thanks for listening to my story. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this. When someone starts treating your respect like a suggestion, stop arguing. Stop explaining. Just act. Boundaries don't need justification. And silence? That's the loudest answer you can give. If you made it this far, thanks for being here. I appreciate every one of you who takes the time to listen, comment, and share these stories. Stay smart, stay calm, and never forget, peace is priceless.